say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Maybe, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
Never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. This is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now. We know I ain't ballin' yet. Hoes wanna holler, oh no, I don't call them back. Girl, let me see you hold it down, we gon' have a blast. Cause I just wanna know what you gonna do with all of that. Ain't gotta say a word, I know what's up. You can have it all, watch me rip it off. I'll admit it, you got me feeling hella love. Even when it's going down, know that we gon' live it up. Young shot caller, always been a baller. Know that you the one, I can feel it in my heart. Yeah, I won't stop charging, we going come harder. I can see you and I, way beyond the stars, girl. I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right. It feels right.
What is up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast, episode number 276. I'm Jeff James. With me, as always, the incredible, unobtainable Eric. How are you, my man? Enrique. How are you today?
Maybe not as always.
As always, no. I was just trying to see if I could, kind of confuse the viewer for a second or the listener and be like, who's this? No, Eric returns to help us out graciously. We're calling you Gracious Eric. That's your name.
Gracious Eric.
Luscious Brody, Gracious Eric.
Eric.
Selfless Eric. No, it's great to have you on the show, dude. We're really happy that you can help out from time to time, and It's just great having you on. So we're going to talk through a bunch of stuff today. I mean, we've got a good amount of little news pieces that all kind of add up and all matter. And I'm kind of stoked to go through some of them. But before we do so, if this is your first time listening to this podcast, you can find us live on YouTube and Twitch every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, the King God time zone of them all. And you can also find the audio version of this podcast where you can find all podcasts. That's Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're on there. And you can find that going up real early on Friday morning. So you get that to celebrate Friday, which tomorrow is Friday, which is exciting because Fridays are great. We love Fridays here. And beyond that, you can follow us on social at Diggity Podcast. You can get onto our Spawn Camp Discord. The link is below on the YouTube page, as well as in the show notes for this episode if you're listening to the audio version on Friday, as we call it. And it's a great place. Great place to hang out. There's not many things free left in this world. In fact, most things cost more money nowadays. This is not. This is free. And there's also a great community on there, from everything talking about video games, talking about F1, to talking about what the hell we ate, to talking about what we wish we ate. A bunch of cool stuff on there. There's cool people. It's a good time. It's constantly growing. So join that Discord and jump in there with that link below, my dudes and dudettes.
The freshest and dankest memes.
Yes, there are extremely fresh and dank memes as well. That is a very good point, Eric. It's a fantastic point, my friend. But with that being said, again, thank you. If you're returning to listen to this show, please consider leaving a review after the podcast. It helps our audio version of our podcast really make a difference out in the world, in the interwebs. And we like to see our proud little baby boy grow. That's what we do here. Just proud parents. But let's jump into the first piece of news, my man. Let's talk about this one. PS5 hits 25 million units, but Sony gaming profits fall 49% due to rising costs. So the electronics giant shipped 3.3 million PS5 units during the 3 months ended September 30th, and it said, which is the exact same figure it managed during the same period last year. So demand hasn't died down at all. In fact, it probably still can't keep up with demand, right? That brings total PS5 console sales to 5.7 million for the first half of the fiscal year of 2022, which is far short of Sony's unchanged target of 18 million by the end of its current fiscal year in March 2023. Speaking during an earnings call on Tuesday, Sony said PS5 sales were going according to plan and that it believed it could still achieve its 18 million sales target. The company manufactured 6.5 million consoles during Q2, it claimed. While Sony's Game and Network Services division reported Q2 revenues of 720.7 billion yen, which is about $4.8 billion, up 12% year over year, and a record Q2 in terms of Japanese yen figures, profit fell significantly, though, by 49%. And Sony said its decline in gaming profits was due to an increase in game development and acquisition costs, including its purchase of Bungie, as well as a negative impact of foreign exchange rates, reflecting a high ratio of US dollar costs. So,
Hurting everyone.
do you think that they're going to be, the question to you, Eric, is do you think that they're going to be able to hit this 18 million units, given the fact that we still have supply chain issues out there in this earth, in this world? And let's be real, too, shit's just getting more expensive. Or if it isn't getting more expensive, it's staying at the expensive level it's at, and it's just like a slow bleed from everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I can look at it in two different ways, right? Because we are entering into Black Friday season,
yes,
Christmas season, so obviously, definitely will boost their numbers. But like you said, 6.5 or 5.5 million at this point. That is quite a bit away from the 18 million target, right? So that's they got
March 2023 is when they need to hit that 18.
Yeah. So that's, what is that, five months? Yeah. 5
Yeah,
months.
they're not gonna hit that shit.
Yeah, I don't think Christmas or Black Friday is gonna boost it.
Yeah, Boxing Day. Maybe Boxing Day too. I mean, fuck, we'll throw that in there. Yeah, hey, this is worldwide sales.
I know I've bought things on Boxing Day, like consoles and whatnot, but no way. I don't think we'll they'll be able to reach those targets. And supply chain issues that is everywhere down the chain from the start of COVID and up until now and continuing into 2050. We'll we'll have these issues. So
Yeah.
that's the reality we live in at this point.
Cool. Moving on to more PlayStation news, and I totally agree with you, Eric. PlayStation Plus games catalog for November 2022 has been revealed. So there's 20 games in total, ranging from JRPGs to tactical shooters. So here's the list. PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium November 2022 games. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition for PS4 and PS5. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, right? It's got to go on something else. PS4 and PS5. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix. HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. Oddworld. Soulstorm Enhanced Edition, PS4 and PS5 version. Tom Clancy's The Division 2, PS4. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, PS4 version. Chorus, the PS4, PS5 version. What Remains of Edith Finch, for the PS4 version. The Gardens Beneath, PS4, PS5. Earth Defense Force World Brothers for PS4. Earth Defense Force Iron Rain, PS4. And Oni Chambaro Origin for PS4. She's fucking getting it back there, dude.
Yeah. So,
it's fine, don't worry about it. Then PlayStation Plus Premium Classics for November 2022. This was kind of interesting. Ratchet and Clank PS3, Ratchet and Clank 2 Going Commando PS3, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal PS3, Ratchet and Clank Deadlocked PS3, Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction PS3. She's fucking dying back there. I'm dead, dude. She's like, she's just like freaking out.
Yeah, freaking out. I just muted.
So that's fine. Yeah, keep your hand on the mute button. That's fine. So I mean, I guess the coolest thing on here is the PlayStation Plus Premium Classics. To me, the Ratchet and Clank. There's some cool stuff in here, like to see Kingdom Hearts, to see all of those Kingdom Hearts is really neat. I've never like gotten too crazy about Kingdom Hearts. But this is huge. This is great for PlayStation Plus.
I mean, these are all great. Rainbow Six Siege is huge. I mean, I think it was already free though. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I for some reason I thought Rainbow Six Siege was already free to play. But Tom Clancy's titles. I mean, Skyrim is a classic. That has done literally everything under the sun.
Yes, it must be. It's got to be like a toaster in like
I think
10 years.
A big part of this is the premium classics. Pretty much the whole entire Ratchet and Clank series, as far as I'm aware. My apologies if I am incorrect, but yeah, I mean, this is a great list for November.
It is missing a couple of games.
It is missing a couple of I didn't think. I thought there was probably a couple more, but
yes, but it's fine. They're really good ones. Yeah, this is great. You know, this is like, let's not kid ourselves. PlayStation Plus Extra, because that's what gets you to these games. It's not the greatest. I mean, it's not at Game Pass level, but this is definitely going to help. Mm-hmm. But the question always is, how long are these going to last on there? Because my big thing, right, the great advantage that Microsoft has, and I guess it'll slowly happen with Sony as well with these acquisitions that they're making and all that kind of jazz. But like when Microsoft puts up like a day one release up there, like it's there forever. Like it's not going away. Like eventually Kingdom Hearts will go away off of this subscription thing, which is fine. It's probably be like, I don't think anyone's ran the average cycle for games on, because I think it's probably all different, but I think it's like 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And then they cycle through and try to get another person, because you wouldn't want to do it every 6 months per the year, because then someone can jab out for another 6 months. You'd want to be doing it like in like these weird awkward quarters, I think. Or billing periods, like, oh, a billing period's about to end, release a cool game in the hopes that people stick, right, to that next month.
I'm not seeing anything specific.
I'd be interested in like seeing what that data is, like what that says, like how long on average something stays up there.
Accessing any video game company's data or producers' data would be fantastic to look at.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in Blizzard's data on Overwatch right now, but...
Ooh.
That is
that's never coming out.
Nope.
That's never coming out.
Their excuse they're playing on is that they're being potentially acquired by Microsoft, so they're not sharing details.
Yeah, bullshit. One last Sony-esque story before we move on to the rest of them. God of War Ragnarok, PS5, PS4 reviewer was threatened over a lower score. So Twitter trolls should be just bad people. So in his review, Bae Sang-hyun awarded the game a 6 out of 10, where he criticized the title's father-son narrative device and ultimately compared the sequel to DLC. However, with the review being written in a different language, some of the context was lost, and its translated open critic synopsis has since been revised to better reflect the author's original intent. But unfortunately, that didn't prevent trolls from attacking the reviewer on social media. Bae Sang-hyun share one of the messages he'd received, which include references to his nationality, personal appearance, and ability, included with a death threat. Please don't do this. No. Bae Sang-hyun said, "It's so heartbreaking. I can't do anything else. I ask you politely, please just enjoy your game."
Yeah. Yeah, if you love the game, don't fucking get mad at other people that say it's bad. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah. We've read a machine-translated version of the IGN Korea review. And while we obviously don't agree with the author, it's interesting to see a different opinion. Nevertheless, the game is one of the highest rated releases on Metacritic this year and is going to sell millions and millions and millions of copies. Don't be a douche. Like, don't be an asshole out there. Like, if someone has an opinion, I mean, just be like, I don't agree, and just move on. You don't have to like sit there and just be a massive asshole. I do want to talk about this though. Now that we're talking about God of War. Who the fuck on Team Sonic decided to launch Sonic Frontiers the same time as God of War Ragnarok? Not that it was ever going to take off at the same level ever, and it's a Sonic game. Let's be fucking real. But like, what the fuck, dude?
I don't know. This always happens though. There's this huge release and some other company that releases their game, and it's like just the worst timing they could possibly have. And
it's fucking terrible timing.
I know you're not too interested in the Sonic game.
No, I fucking hate Sonic. I hate him. I think he's the laziest character in the world.
But Sonic Frontiers is probably not might take a hit from this Ragnarok. I mean, maybe people who play Sonic don't like God of War. Who knows? Maybe there's
I don't know if there's much tie over. You think there's crossover there from the Venn diagram between Sonic lovers and God of War? I mean, there's a lot of people that play God of War, but like, I think a lot of people are holding out for PC version too.
Yeah.
But is that going to take, 3 years, 4 years?
Well, certainly it wouldn't be as long as, obviously, the original.
I guess not, yeah.
Sony's been more sort of upfront with putting games out on Steam and stuff like that.
They do want to sell consoles, though.
Yes, they do want to sell consoles, and I don't know if it's going to be a year. That's probably at least the most...
the best bet, yeah.
Best bet. It's probably might be even more than that. So, unfortunately, you're gonna have to hold out for some God of War.
Yeah, on PC.
PC. But in the meantime, I am hoping to dive in this weekend.
Nice.
Get some hours into
that.
So I'm so stoked.
Well, moving from one topic, which I hate, Sonic, to another, let's talk about Stadia real quick. Little PSA here, and then it actually ties into a Kojima story, actually. So Google's begun sending out refunds for Stadia purchases, so listen up if you're a Stadia owner so that you can get your refunds for your games and stuff like that, which I'll give credit to Google on this. I was not expecting them to do this. I was expecting them to be like, yeah, well, fuck you. That's kind of how it works. Like, they're in the cloud. They're gone forever. You never really owned them. We're not going to refund you. It's kind of cool, so kudos on that. But back in September, Google announced that it would be shutting down Stadia cloud gaming service in early 2023. And at the time, Google also announced plans to refund all game purchases made on Stadia since launch, and now those refunds are starting to roll out. So Stadia is shutting down on January 18th, 2023. Very close. It's crazy that we're going to be in 2023 soon. Holy crap. The Stadia store is already offline, and Google's also stopped charging for its Stadia Pro subscription service. While Stadia Pro subscribers won't get a refund, Any game purchases made through Stadia will be automatically refunded. The funds have begun going out this week, but due to the number of refunds that have been issued, it could take several months for all of them to be cleared. So if you don't see something, I mean, just wait like 3 months. Several usually means about like 3 or 4. Doesn't mean 7. So just wait about like 3 or 4. But due to this, Google's asking that Stadia customers refrain from contacting customer support regarding game refunds. Google says its customer support agents will not be able to expedite refunds for customers, so it wants customers to avoid contacting about Stadia funds until January, at which time the vast majority of refunds should have been sent out. So there you go right there. We should be receiving some stuff by January.
They're going to have their hands full. They are.
Yeah, it's a big grave for this.
Everyone on the platform, good on Google for doing that. I think last time I was on, we actually even talked about Stadia, and
yeah, I think we did. Yeah,
and so I mean, it's fantastic. It's very unexpected in today's world. You almost expect a company to be like, "Yep, well, sorry, you're fucked."
Yeah,
but yeah, good on them.
Last piece of PSA here. Customers who made 20 or fewer game/DLC purchases on Stadia will get individual emails for each refund. Those who bought more than 20 games on Stadia will get one emailing detailing all the refunds at once. It's kind of confusing, but whatever. If a refund can't be sent to the original payment method, then Google will contact those customers again to set up an alternative. So it's good. They really want to actually pay you back, which is great. I think that's fantastic, and we'll see where it goes from there. But, Eric, that Stadia news leads us, my man, into a story about Kojima, which is kind of fascinating.
Tell me the connection here.
Okay, so Kojima has rejected, the big core story is a ridiculously high acquisition offer so that he can stay independent, which is quite noble. So on his most recent podcast, Kojima admits he's received multiple acquisition offers, and he refuted rumors of his canceled Stadia game. Given his close working relationship with Sony, there's speculation at one point that Hideo Kojima's studio, Kojima Productions, would be next in line to be absorbed into the company. That didn't happen, though, with Kojima saying at the time that his studio will remain purely independent forever. More recently, he's not only reiterated this pledge, but also revealed that he has routinely received ridiculously high offers to sell his studio, all of which he's rejected. He doesn't name any specific companies, but this does confirm that there are enough out there eager to bring Kojima and his team into their personal fold. He also doesn't say how much. I'm assuming like an assload of money because it's Kojima.
Certainly.
Like, it's crazy. Kojima states that he wants to only make games he's interested in making. Something he'd likely be unable to do if another company like Sony or Microsoft was calling all the shots from acquisition. He says, "Let me reiterate that we are indies," he said on the most recent episode of his Brain Structure podcast. "We have no affiliations whatsoever, and we are not backed by anyone. And every day I'm approached by offers all over the world to buy our studio. Some of those offers are ridiculously high prices, but it's not that I want money. I want to make what I want to make. That's why I created this studio. So as long as I'm alive, I don't think I will ever accept those offers." Although he never directly references it, Kojima's decision is likely influenced by his time working at Konami, where his Silent Hills projects was canceled and his name was removed from the packaging for Metal Gear Solid 5. It also was suggested that at one point he was working with Google on a Stadia exclusive title as well, but it was ultimately canceled due to the platform shutting down. However, in the same podcast, Kojima addressed the claim and said that it's completely false, or at least said it didn't have anything to do with Death Stranding. The rumor that Death Stranding, moreover a sequel, was in the works to be an exclusive title for Google is unfounded, and Phil Harrison ultimately rejecting that is quite impossible, he said. "I've never once said anything to Phil about wanting to create a Death Stranding sequel. I don't know who pulled this kind of information from where." The fact that he mentions former Stadia boss Phil Harrison by name does suggest he spoke to them about something. No, it doesn't, because the guy just knows who Phil Harrison is. I mean, it's Kojima. He's gonna fucking know who that is. We know who that is. We don't. I mean, I didn't do a deal with Phil Harrison, so I just know his fucking name. That's dumb. That's a dumb take on that. But yeah, so I mean, it's pretty cool. Not that I thought if there was one man on Earth that was never going to sell, I thought it would be Hideo Kojima, and I'm just glad that has kept to it. But did you know he's almost 60 years old?
Yeah, he's getting up there.
Yeah, he's 59.
Yeah, that's incredible, and
I was amazed by that.
He gets more artistic with age, like a fine wine.
Like a fine cheese.
And
and wine. Paired with a fine wine. Yeah, no, this is cool. I mean, he truly is like, not to say that other studios aren't artists or anything like that, but like he is truly like an independent artist. And yeah, he's been burnt before, right? Just like Konami.
Well,
he's like, I don't want to do this shit again.
I think that's exactly it. He has some trauma from.
Well, he's also made a shit ton of money.
Yeah, certainly being independent has made him successful.
Yes.
He lost credit, like you said, from the Metal Gear Solid games and canceled some of his projects. So why would he want that if he's doing perfectly fine on his own? And I mean, to be an indie game studio in 2022 is usually a pretty good thing. There's plenty of indie studios out there that do very well, but oftentimes they get obviously scooped up by a bigger company.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on him to stay independent.
Yeah, it's great. Great to see. All right, next story, my man. Renowned Studio Ghibli teases a possible Star Wars project. This is kind of fucking crazy. This is wild, dude. I'd be pretty interested in seeing this. But basically, earlier today on Twitter, Japanese animator Studio Ghibli released a short video simply showing the Lucasfilm splash screen at the start of their movies, followed by the Studio Ghibli pale blue screen that's also shown. The tweet itself from the Japanese Ghibli account has no audio, no text indicating what they might be hinting at. Of course, the comments go wild with ideas of a feature-length Star Wars movie animated by Studio Ghibli, but there are some more reasonable ideas like some Star Wars vision shorts. You can view the tweet yourself on the old Twitter. And while Star Wars is undoubtedly the most popular Lucasfilm creation, what most people seem to be thinking this is teasing, the storied studio also has other well-known properties. Indiana Jones, for example, Willow, and Labyrinth could all be worked as animated films by the studio. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see for now as to what's going on. I mean, I'd be stoked for a feature-length thing. I don't want short stuff.
Yeah.
Not interested in it.
What I would want to see as a Star Wars fan, as a
Clone Wars
Studio Ghibli. I mean, they've already animated Clone Wars.
Yeah, but I want it like in their style. I want it in their style, bro.
Certainly, it would be fantastic in their style.
Maybe they could expand upon it.
They could. They could also expand on the completely missing canon version of Luke.
Yeah, that's fair. But then they can't make 4 films that come out over the course of a decade.
And forget the last 3 films because they don't exist.
Oh shit. Yeah, whatever they do, man, they do such a good job, bro. I don't even like. I could see it being Indiana Jones though.
I mean,
I think that'd be sweet.
Any Lucasfilm title, I will watch. So, it's I love Indiana Jones. I love freaking Star Wars. I love pretty much anything from them. So
awesome.
Call me a big old nerd, but
object. Moving on, some big piece of news. Diablo 4 will allegedly launch in April 2023. So, and an additional rumor to this is that pre-orders will open next month for this.
So we'll probably see something, hopefully.
Yes. Kudos to Xbox Era Podcast and Windows Central for that rumor. Both of which believe Diablo 4's tentative 2023 release window can be narrowed down to April, with early access reportedly launching in February and pre-orders going live as early as January. Or December, sorry.
That we haven't really seen or heard anything about that game.
Well, we did see some stuff through the woodwork. Blizzard announced that it was conducting closed beta tests for players who spent significant time in Diablo and game experiences. That leaked a while back.
Yeah, but like the fanfare, like
no, yeah, like ever since my God, what was it? Was it wasn't Game Awards, Summer Game Fest?
was it Summer Game Fest or E3? I can't remember.
Oh, might have been E3.
Or was it BlizzCon? Maybe it was at BlizzCon.
They didn't have BlizzCon.
I don't remember.
I don't
But
know.
it was,
I don't follow Blizzard that much anymore.
I don't even remember.
No, you're right. I mean, there really hasn't been like marketing. It's been through like the conducting closed beta test. That was a leak, and then the other piece that we saw was that there were Diablo testers that were testing it vigorously now because there was a union strike. Well, not a strike. There was the Diablo testers wanted to form a union, and so there's a whole legal suit for that. And that was another way that we could see like, oh, okay, like they're getting pretty close because it like detailed how many hours they're putting in and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
but nothing for marketing now.
Good on unions, depending who you are, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm part of a union, so I think they do all right.
Now the rumor is also that it's thought more news will come during December's Game Awards, which that seems plausible in every sort of way. I mean, Jeff Keighley's been able to get a lot of stuff with that. The awards are set for 8th of December, so just a couple weeks away. Not bad. We should be able to kind of hopefully see that come through. Here's my real question now. What if this doesn't, like, this has to hold up so high, bro? The standard of this is
it's gonna be
so high.
Like Cyberpunk standard almost. Like everyone expected the most incredible game, like, thing to ever grace your eyeballs. And it was a glitchy mess, unplayable mess. But I mean, not that Diablo will be that, but
well, if there are like degrees to this where it is glitchy or it's just not feeling as good, do you think that that's like throw Activision to the side because Activision's not going anywhere because of Call of Duty? But do you think that that's like a huge hit to Blizzard where that's like, okay, like you guys are fucked now because Overwatch 2, they're not releasing numbers. We can use their own imagination and it's probably doing okay, but it's certainly not doing what it probably they thought it would do.
The only thing we've seen is they have 30 or had 35 million players.
Yeah, 25 million players, but what constitutes that? Somebody just downloads the fucking game and like plays it for, like I want concurrent users on a daily basis. And
I love that you can see it up on Steam for different games, but
it is cool for that. But
Blizzard would never do that. But I like with Overwatch 2's launch and it being such a fucking mess, and how it is now with its freaking monetization, the way everyone and at least the people that I follow are super against that monetization.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the two of us hate the monetization.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous, and the cost of things, and how long it takes to earn the actual money is incredible. Like you compare it to Fortnite, this battle pass is nowhere near that caliber. But if with that in October, and then Diablo 4 in April, let's say, like, confidence in Blizzard is... And World of Warcraft, too.
Yeah, but the expansion wasn't great, right?
Been going down, and they've been pushing this expansion. I don't know many people that are still playing it. So, like, Blizzard is hurting real bad, and if Diablo 4 is a freaking flop, they're in a bad place, I think for sure. Yeah,
because, I mean, what else do they have IP-wise? They have Hearthstone. That's just getting little incremental updates.
StarCraft is essentially...
Dead. For all we know.
I mean, I think it still has an esports scene. But... Yeah,
but there's no...
There's no updates. There's no new things.
There's no 4.
Yeah, there's no StarCraft 3.
3, sorry, yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's only ever been StarCraft 2. They just came out with 3 expansions. But, yeah, I don't think there's a StarCraft 3 planned whatsoever.
If there is, you're going to crap your pants.
I will. Probably crap my pants. But I freaking love StarCraft.
Awesome.
I am a giant Blizzard nerd. I'm sorry.
I love it.
Uh, but yeah, they're in bad shape if Diablo 4 is a flop, for sure.
Cool. All right, moving on. Modern Warfare 2 Premium Expansion launches in 2023, equal to, quote, full release. So paid expansion for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is set to launch sometime in the year 2023 and is expected to be equivalent to a full premium release. In its third quarter 2022 press release, Activision announced that it is looking forward to building on its current momentum in 2023 with plans for next year, including a new full premium release in the Blockbuster Annual Series. This is in contrast to what we was previously reported regarding the release of a campaign DLC in late 2023. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier shared his thoughts on the official statement from Activision, saying that the next Call of Duty game developed by Treyarch is set for release in the year 2024. And according to him, there will be a premium paid expansion for Modern Warfare 2 in 2023, and it will be developed by Sledgehammer. He added that the expansion is set to offer lots of new content, which is likely why Activision is treating it as a full release. We could probably expect it to be at least $60 for that DLC, which is kind of crazy. But again, if it's a full, another whole campaign to it, so be it. Previously, Twitter user The Ghost of Hope, who has been a pretty reliable source for Call of Duty related leaks in the past, has revealed that the latest entry in the series, Modern Warfare 2, will receive DLC for its campaign as well in late 2023. And they also stated that this story DLC will be bundled with the paid DLC map pack that had leaked sometime earlier this year. And according to the leak, the aforementioned map pack will be made available as paid content a year after Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's release and will feature a selection of classic maps. There's no word on the pricing of this campaign DLC and map pack that is said to be bundled and released as substantial year 2 content for the game. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, by the way, now is the best-selling Call of Duty in terms of the fastest selling.
I've heard it's just selling like hotcakes, and everyone in the Spawn Camp Discord has praised its campaign. I think.
Everyone is pretty.
And I think the guys are regularly.
Yeah, the one big thing that's come up with a bunch of people is the UI, and I got to experience that at Brody's house the other day when I turned it on. I'm not a huge Call of Duty guy, so I don't have it, but I went and played it at Brody's house, and the UI is fucking trash. I mean, it's bad.
I'm a big UI guy. I think you're a big UI guy.
Yeah,
it's literally called user experience. If the user experience
UX UI
when the user experience is not there because the UI sucks, how the heck is it going to be satisfying? I mean, the game can be satisfying to play, but I don't know. When you have barriers like a UI, it's like the tiniest little thing that just adds up over time, and it's like
Well, Brody had a good point, and I was like trying to see what he was talking about, and I saw it was the guns. He was like, when you go into the gun menus, it's like everything's transparent, so you don't fucking know what you've unlocked and what you haven't. And you go and you just select shit, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And like the UI, bro, the fucking. It's like, it looks like Windows 8, dude. The way that it's all these squares and shit.
Oh my god. Yeah.
In a grid, and it's all over the place. And actually, shout out to this too, because on Sacred Symbols, they brought up a good point, and it was like 10 years ago, like something happened, and all the UI UX people in gaming, or most, not all, kind of like left. And we got stuck with like really dumb. We got stuck with either overcomplicated UIs that don't need to be complicated, or we got lost with just shit tier UI.
Yeah, I think design in general went through a big shift at some point within the last 5-10 years. But and then part of that is that is interesting that a lot of the like UI masters or the best people in the business sort of like just disappeared or left the industry altogether. But and then the intern was stuck with here, fix it.
Here, fix us because it needs to make us money in our store. That's the other thing too, right? Is like the only saving grace is that all these games have microtransactions in them now. And so, like, my point to Brody was that not that in any way, shape, or form was it acceptable that the UI that came out for this game. But I said the one godsend we have with the microtransactions is that this shit needs to be efficient for people to purchase shit. So hopefully that will cause Activision to go, yeah, we need to change this shit up.
Yeah, unless they only
Hit the one good thing.
They only optimize the pathways to the store.
There's a good chance. It's a very good chance that is something that happens. There's a very, very good chance that that's a thing.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. But one question before we tidy it up here that I have for you, sir, is so we found the price out of PS5 VR. You're not a PS5 owner yet.
Not yet. No. Maybe eventually.
Maybe eventually. For the PSVR 2, with the price that you heard, and do you understand the price, or do you know yet or no? $549 US.
Yeah, $549. I assume I just rounded up to 600 in my head.
Yeah. Would you pay for that? I mean, I don't know what that is in Canadian. Let's see what the Canadian price is first. I'll find that for you. You're like, oh god.
I mean, the price changes like 25 cents every day.
$7.49 Canadian.
Yeah, that's a big no for me. I've
salty.
never gotten into VR. I just, first of all, don't really have the room for it, like just the way my house is set up.
Yeah.
But I just don't have a big interest in it either. It's, I hear a lot, or not a lot of people, but people who play VR, who like VR, really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I've got some people that I know that are like just fanatics about it.
Like one of the podcasts that you listen to, Tested.
Oh yeah, the Tested dudes.
Tested dudes, they love, and they always talk about it. But it's just that sort of shows like how hard it is to be successful in this VR space too, right? Because the general person is like, it's kind of a novelty item right here. It's not really like, oh, this is the game you have to play and it's only in VR. Granted, it picked you up anyway. You should have just walked by.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought now. But yeah, like it's completely sort of a novelty right now, and there's not that many games. There are fantastic games for the VR. There's I've heard, what's the one I always hear from? I mean, Beat Saber, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's like the main staple right now.
Yeah, and it's like the average person. How do you pull that person in there? And I don't think
you can. Like, I mean, if you pull them in, it's gonna be like, for me, the only thing that I think, like, I've been able to experience like the HTC Vive when it was coming out. It was experiencing a bunch of different VR tech, and I think the only one for me that would be attractive to go look at or get into would be the Oculus Quest. And the reason for that is simply there's no wires. Like, I just put the thing on my fucking face and just go. Like, the wire for me is really like a setback.
Yeah, like, what are you gonna do? Strap a PS5 onto a backpack and like run?
Yeah, like I said to Brody, I'm gonna make something that people can put their PS5 in, and it's just like a giant like power bank.
Buy one of those Jackery battery banks.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah, and strap it to your back.
Strap it to your back, and then like you can run. For,
Death
like,
Stranding. Play Death Stranding like you're actually carrying all the shit on your back. the 200 pounds of shit on your back.
It actually feels like I'm in the game.
Woo. Yeah, no, I that's like the only thing. And yeah, like Beat Saber's like the only thing I really want to play at this point. I'm not interested in it, and that doesn't mean that other people aren't, but
Yeah.
I don't see it growing beyond that. And maybe in like another decade, like, wow, this gets really cheaper, to make this stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's not. It seems like it's like staying pretty similar. And like, I don't even know if they're really losing money on this unit. I know that was discussed in our last episode. We're like, oh, they're probably losing money to get people to buy the games. I don't think so. I think they probably make some money on this unit, considering that they're making some money, not a lot. Probably now with inflation,
like
losing a bit.
A unit.
Yeah, so I'm like, I just don't think that they're losing a ton to try and make VR work, because they're not, like, they don't have to be the champion of the technology. There's so many other companies doing it.
I think that's a fair assessment, just because I think the VR companies are, or at least I'd hope the VR companies are honest with themselves, knowing that they do have a smaller market, and
Yeah.
they would be developing the technology so that they can sort of at least turn a profit to keep themselves going and continue developing.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, I don't see this getting cheaper, because in a way the VR technology is kind of on a cutting edge of the gaming, like, and now that's like sort of constant, constantly going forward, so they're constantly pushing boundaries, whereas PS5 is just like, oh, okay, well, we slapped a better graphics card in it and a better processor, and it looks better now. That's essentially what it is, right? So.
Yeah, I think also for me too, what's interesting, and I could be totally wrong on this, but like the one company I think that was actually doing a really good job of trying to create a system that was really just focused around gaming for VR, that didn't have to go to another console or anything else, was Facebook or Meta with the Oculus. And then they decided to go on this route of the metaverse shit, and VR's taken on this thing where, like, it's not focused on gaming. It doesn't have to be focused on gaming. There's so many other ways you could use VR in life. There's so many ways you use virtual reality in reality. But the thing that was amazing to me is, like, they have Beat Saber, all this other shit, and then they start taking this path of, like, yeah, and you can use it for, like, get into work and stuff, and you can see your colleague that you hate virtually now and can't get away from it all. But for me, oh my god, I just sneezed bad. For me, what was crazy is, they came up with a pro version, Oculus Pro, which I think is going to kind of like put a line in the sand between what's for like business and what's for like gaming. But that's kind of like the only company right now that's really pushing it. And like, people are like, wow, well, what about the PS5 and like PSVR VR2? I look at that as like, that's just another way to play PlayStation games.
Yeah.
From like the outside consumer, because you're stuck with a fucking console. You've got to go spend $550 on a PlayStation and then $550 on the VR headset, and you haven't even got a game. Yeah. And me and Brody were astonished when we talked about it last week, where there's no launch game. Like, there's a launch game, but there's no like demo game included, like an Astros. Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Here's a question for you: as a business, why would you invest in a VR headset? Like, to me, I'm like, well, why don't I just have a Teams meeting and I can just see them there? I
don't know, man.
There's maybe some interaction you can do with, like,
I don't know. I think
of this building that I made.
Yeah. Like, I think if you're in architecture, or you're in like manufacturing, or you're working on like you need to do some training for like manufacturing and stuff like that, I think it's a great way to do it, because otherwise your training is like, either running a line inefficiently for quite some time, just to get people up to it, or you get them training on that for a couple hours and then they're golden. So I think that's a good use case of it. But like, to stem it down to basically Zoom, and then we put like a fucking Club Penguin avatar for you there. Like, I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand how we ever got to that. I can imagine it was like when people were on Zoom, like, wow, they're on Zoom, and like, boy, it really sucks looking at a real human's face through a camera. What if we could make these really poor looking, like, Xbox 360 era avatars? Wouldn't that be great, instead of like actually seeing our colleagues' faces and having a human touch when we haven't been able to see humans for the longest time in one setting? Like, I never really understood what the ploy was there. And I think really a lot of it came down to social media companies like Facebook, for example. Facebook's dying, right? Like, ad revenue is dying quarter after quarter after quarter. And then the other piece to it is, like, when people weren't able to go outside and do shit, they weren't posting shit on Facebook.
Yeah, there was nothing to post because it was like, here's my liver.
It was just all COVID shit. Yeah, it was all COVID stuff, and people were like, nah, I'm not doing it, no thanks. And so I think they just, like, it just came boredom, and they just thought the metaverse was a thing, and then, like, Web 3.0, you know, the metaverse, crypto. Like, we'll look back on this in a history book, and we'll be like, man, we were really fucking stupid for a solid 3 years.
Yeah,
for like a solid 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, for me personally, the word or the name metaverse or meta just puts a bad taste in my mouth. Just like, I don't know why.
Bro, you know how much money they spent, right? Meta, to do this, like, metaverse on the they spent 32 billion. 32 billion.
Jesus, it's incredible.
They renamed their company for the metaverse.
It was evaluated. What was it evaluated, like 200 or two? I forget, 200 trillion or was
no, not 200 trillion. It's like 1.2 trillion or something like that.
It was like, or was it evaluated at 2 trillion? Now it's at 1 trillion or something like that.
I don't know. I'll check it out.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, its valuation has dropped like incredible amounts, and it's yeah, it
has a market cap of half a trillion right now, 562 billion.
Okay, yes, so it was probably a trillion, and then it dropped a trillion, which is just an enormous amount of money that
good God
are essentially lost because they changed the name. Wow. But the future is VR, Jeff. It's the future.
Well, I know. It's crazy. We went like VR, then we had AR, then we went back to VR now. It's weird. But anyways, we're going to wrap the show up. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Diggity Podcast. Again, if you're watching the video version, there's an audio version of this podcast that goes live every Friday morning for the audio version on wherever you can find podcasts. If you're listening to the audio version, please leave us a review. It helps us greatly on the different platforms. And if you want to get in on the Spawn Camp Discord community, you can do so by following the link in the show notes for the audio version in your podcast app or through this YouTube video. So go do that.